Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to work on this XTR M900 Rear derailleur. This is from 1992 to 94 until they updated, I think 95 with the M910. Big change was, I guess, the kind of coil spring on the interior. On first glance is the used jockey wheels that need to be replaced. At least they look used, they look a bit pointy to me. The back cage is kind of scratchy. Now I wouldn't bother changing that usually. However, I have a XTR M900 Rear derailleur that's for parts. The stopper plate for the B screw has been damaged, and they clearly share the same back jockey wheel cage, and this one's in lovely condition compared to this one. So I guess I'll swap them out. The jockey wheels actually are looking in better shape, less used than the ones that are on this one, and they look also the same. I would have liked to have put this stopper plate onto this one. However, they're not looking like they're the same, so I won't be able to do that. So we're going to disassemble it and reassemble it again. I'm going to begin removing the jockey wheels using a number 3 Allen key. A bit of accumulated dirt in this bolt. We're going to use number 5 to remove this bolt. There's some kind of spacer. Let's take out the spring. So the longer tip goes into the knuckle itself. We'll remember that for assembly later on. Let's start removing some of these other little bits. Might change this barrel as well, it looks like it's taken on a bit of colour. We can now remove the clip that's holding the bolt here. I'm going to take off the stopper plate with the B screw. There should be a seal here that we can take off. I'll leave those together. I'll take off that spring. Let's push out that bolt. Hanger bolt. There's a seal we can lift off. Let's take off some of the smaller parts. And the limit screws. I'm going to go ahead and wipe down some of this stuff and remove the parts that I need from the M737 derailleur, and then we can go ahead and do the re-greasing on the pivots and the springs. These look fairly dry, or they haven't been cleaned in a while. Forgot to take this off. For the back cage plate you have another bolt that is removable. So I've now wiped down all the old grease, or at least most of it anyway. I have also undone the M737 Rear derailleur. So these jockey wheels right here that are pointy are going to be replaced by these ones that are in much better condition. Now I don't know if you noticed when I was disassembling, this stopper plate had two issues. It's a bit of a classic really. This part here was fairly bent, and also the part that holds the B tension screw, I always forget, this was also bent. I did try and find a replacement, but you'll find that throughout the whole Shimano line, this particular part is slightly modified for each model. I tried to fix this. I hate fixing these as you can snap them quite easily when trying to bend them back. So I bent this part here and this part in here inwards. We're going to find out shortly if that's going to hold. So I think that's globally everything said. We're now going to grease some of the parts and then we can go ahead and rebuild this derailleur. I'm going to use some Teflon grease. I'm quite happy with for this application. I have just also ordered some Motorix Bike 2000 grease and also some finish line Teflon grease to give those a go. Let's begin working on that top knuckle. So I'm going to put that seal back on this part, push that bolt back through. We're now going to install the spring back into the knuckle. There's a hole at the back here and the tip of that spring's going to fit inside it. So you need to just locate that hole. That's gone straight in for me. So I'm going to grab that stopper plate and put the seal on. I did have to sand slightly the actual stopper itself here, as it was rubbing on the derailleur still, so slightly still a little bit bent. So now the other tip of the spring is going to go into the hole that's located just here on the end of my thumb. Okay, that's in. We're now going to tension this stopper plate and make the stopper stop in front of the part on the knuckle here. So I'm going to take a long Allen key wrench, fit through the part that holds the screw, and we're going to use my hand to start tensioning that spring until it reaches to the part that we want right here. And you're going to be able to now to just push down usually until you reach that stopper, and then you're going to be able to just remove the Allen key wrench. We're now going to grab the clip, slide it underneath, hold everything in place. You need a plier to push it underneath. Now we're going to put the spring into the bottom knuckle. So I'm going to begin by putting the spring itself. You'll see one part's quite long here and it's kind of curling a little bit more inwards. So that will be going first, and we'll aim for the hole at the back of the knuckle towards here. So for the seal here, the old one was it's kind of used up, worn at least. So I'm going to attempt to put this other one I found. It's a little bit more rigid, it's in better condition, it's just slightly larger on the end, so it's overlapping slightly, but I don't think that's really a big deal. And if it's going to, well, seal the derailleur better, I prefer that. I can't remember what side hole I need to put this back into. So on the left hole I think it's more tension, right will be less. I'm going to put it on the more tension. Yeah, I'll put it on more tension. So before we do that, we're going to run the bolt through here. On the top of that bolt, on towards the threading, there's this thin ring. And now we're going to start to put it back in. So I'm going to aim to put that tip of that spring into that hole. and then we're gonna screw it all down. Okay, so now that you've screwed that down, I'm going to remove this stopper to be able to tension this back. I didn't do this initially, I just unscrewed it. So now I'm tensioning this back, and we're going to put that small screw. Let go. While I've got this little stubby screwdriver with me, I'm going to start to put the limit screws back in. We're going to put the jockey wheel cages back on now. I'm going to use the back cage, which is in nicer condition, from the XT that I had for spares. So let's stick on this G pulley towards the top. And final little details, the cover. Right, so complete. I hope this helped you or guided you in servicing your XTR M900 Rear derailleur. Thank you for listening, and until next time, peace out.